You ever notice how the silence feels louder than it should? You're scrolling at 2 a.m., blue light painting your face, and somewhere between the third celebrity scandal and the seventh political meltdown, you realize your chest is tight. Not panic attack tight, just heavy, like you're carrying something you never agreed to pick up. Here's what nobody tells you about living in the future. We thought connection would feel different. We thought knowing everything, being everywhere, having access to anyone would fill something. Instead, we're the most informed generation in human history, and somehow the most exhausted. We know the GDP of countries we'll never visit. We have opinions on politicians we'll never meet. We're outraged about injustices we can't impact, moved by tragedies we can't prevent, and anxious about futures we can't control. And we do this every single day. The algorithm learned something about us that we're still trying to unlearn about ourselves. We can't look away from the burning building. It's not your fault. It's biology. For 200,000 years, noticing the threat meant survival. The rustle in the grass, the shape in the shadows. Pay attention to danger, live another day. But here's the cruel joke, there's no grass anymore. There's no single threat you can fight or flee. There's just an endless feed of everything wrong, everywhere, all the time. And your ancient brain, the one that kept your ancestors alive on the savannah, thinks it's helping by making you watch. By making you care. By making you remember. So you watch. You watch until you can recite the talking points of arguments you don't even believe in. Until you know more about strangers' failures than your best friend's dreams. Until the last thing you see before sleep is someone else's worst day, and the first thing you see when you wake is the world on fire. And then we wonder why we're tired. I want to tell you about something I started noticing. Not in research papers or TED Talks, but in the faces of people I know. Smart people. Kind people. People who used to light up when they talked about things they loved. They don't light up anymore. They talk about burnout like it's a badge of honor. They perform exhaustion because being tired means you're aware, you're engaged, you're one of the good ones who gives a damn. They've turned weariness into an identity. But here's what I kept thinking. When did caring become synonymous with suffering? There's this moment that happens, and you might have felt it. You're talking to someone, maybe it's your parents, maybe it's an old friend you haven't seen since before the world went sideways, and they ask you something simple. How are you? Or what have you been up to? And you freeze. Not because you don't have an answer, but because you realize the distance between what you've been consuming and what you've been creating. The gap between how much you know about everything and how little you've done about anything. You've been so busy being informed that you forgot to be alive. This is where it gets uncomfortable, so stay with me. We've built a culture that mistakes exposure for experience. We think that because we saw the documentary, we understand poverty. Because we read the thread, we grasp systemic injustice. Because we watch the video essay, we comprehend the complexity of geopolitics. But knowledge without proximity is just noise. And we're drowning in noise while starving for signal. Think about your last real conversation. Not the one where you debated some abstract political theory or dissected some public figure's latest scandal. I mean the one where someone asked you how you actually are, and you told them the truth. The one where you admitted you're lost, or scared, or don't know what you're doing with your Tuesday, let alone your life. When was that? For a lot of us, it's been a while. Because somewhere along the way, we replaced intimacy with information. We swapped depth for breadth. We chose knowing about everything over being known by anyone. The average person now has access to more information before breakfast than their grandparents had in a lifetime. We carry the weight of the world in our pockets. Every notification is a reminder of something we should care about, someone we should support, some cause we should champion. And we're buckling under it. Here's the thing about carrying other people's emergencies. Eventually, you can't find your own anymore. Your problems get smaller in your own mind because they're not real problems. They're not war or famine or systemic collapse. They're just your quiet unhappiness, your stuck career, your deteriorating relationship, your vague sense that you're wasting your one life on things that won't matter when you're 80. So you push them down. You pack them away. You tell yourself you'll deal with it when things calm down, when you're less busy, when you're more together. But things don't calm down. The feed doesn't stop. The world doesn't pause for your personal crisis. And one day you look up and realize you've been running on emergency power for so long you forgot what full charge feels like. Let me paint you a picture of how this actually works in real time. It's Thursday afternoon. You're at your desk, technically working, but really you're toggling between 8 tabs. Email, Slack, news site, social media, back to email. The work you're supposed to be doing sits there, patient, while you refresh the same pages looking for something new, something you missed, something important. nothing important comes. But you check anyway. Because what if it does? What if the thing you're waiting for finally happens and you miss it? What if everyone's talking about something and you're not in the loop? This is the trap. Not FOMO as we used to understand it, fear of missing out on parties or experiences. This is FOMO as anxiety disorder. Fear of missing the moment everyone else understands. Fear of being left behind by the cultural conversation. Fear that your relevance has an expiration date and it's constantly refreshing. So you stay plugged in. You stay available. You stay aware. And you wonder why you can't focus on anything for more than 12 minutes. The cruelty of it is this: the things that genuinely matter in your life, the relationships, the health, the slow building skills, the quiet growth, they don't send notifications. They don't trend. They don't demand your attention with red dots and algorithmic urgency. They just wait. They wait for you to remember them, to choose them, to protect them from the 1,000 tiny cuts of distraction that bleed your attention dry. But we don't protect them. How can we? We're too busy being informed citizens of nowhere, having strong opinions about everything, living in a perpetual state of ambient outrage about stuff we'll forget about next week. You want to know what changed? It's not that the world got worse. The world has always had suffering, injustice, corruption, violence. What changed is our relationship to it. We went from hearing about tragedy occasionally to being force-fed it continuously. We went from community-based awareness to global-scale overwhelm. Your great-grandmother didn't know about every missing child, every political scandal, every economic indicator in real time. She knew her street, her town, her people, and within that limited scope, she could actually do something. She could help her neighbor, organize her community, make a tangible difference in a tangible place. You know about everything and can do nothing. And that gap between awareness and agency is where the exhaustion lives. I'm not saying ignorance is bliss. I'm saying omniscience is torture. Here's where we need to get honest about something. A lot of what passes for staying informed is actually just sanctioned doom scrolling. We've dressed up a compulsion in the language of civic duty. I need to know what's happening. Do you? Do you really? Or have you just convinced yourself that your anxiety is activism? That your outrage is engagement? That witnessing suffering from your couch is somehow the same as addressing it? This is hard to hear, I know. Because if we admit that most of our information consumption is recreational outrage rather than meaningful engagement, then we have to confront what we're actually doing with our time. We have to look at how we spend our days and ask uncomfortable questions about impact versus intention. And most of us won't like the answers. But here's what I've learned, slowly, painfully, through a lot of trial and error: you can't heal what you won't acknowledge. The first step isn't detoxing from social media or deleting apps or moving to a cabin in the woods. The first step is admitting that you've been using information the way some people use substances, to numb out, to avoid dealing with the actual texture of your own life, to feel something even if that something is righteous anger about an abstraction. Because anger feels better than helplessness. Outrage feels better than inadequacy. Being informed feels better than being honest about the fact that you don't know what you're doing with your one wild and precious life. So you scroll. You consume. You absorb. You let other people's emergencies become your emotional weather. And you tell yourself you're staying informed when really you're staying distracted. There's a bucket metaphor I think about often. Every morning you wake up with a certain amount of energy. Call it willpower, call it attention, call it life force. It's finite, limited, precious. And every single thing you give your attention to takes a scoop out of that bucket. The notification, the news alert, the drama between people you'll never meet, the debate you'll never win, the scandal you'll forget about by Tuesday, the perfectly curated life that makes you feel inadequate, the rage-bait headline designed to make you click and share and feel something, anything, even if it's just anger. Scoop, scoop, scoop. And then we wonder why, by 10 a.m., we're already running on empty. Why the things that actually matter, the difficult conversation, the creative project, the career move, the relationship repair, feel impossible. It's not because those things are actually harder than staying informed about geopolitical conflict. It's because you already spent your energy on the conflict. You let it drain out through the holes in your bucket before you ever got to the things that might actually change your life. This is what I mean when I say we're volunteering for exhaustion. Nobody's forcing you to have an opinion on every trending topic. Nobody's requiring you to stay updated on every cultural controversy. Nobody actually cares if you saw the latest discourse or can reference the most recent scandal. But we act like it's compulsory. Like there's some cosmic attendance sheet, and if we don't show up with our take, we've failed some fundamental test of being a conscious human. That's the lie. That's the trap. The truth is simpler and harder. Most of what you think you need to know, you don't. Most of what you think you need to care about, you can't meaningfully impact. And most of what you think is keeping you informed is actually just keeping you agitated. Let me give you something concrete. There's a concept in psychology called sphere of control versus sphere of concern. Your sphere of control is small, it's your actions, your choices, your responses, your immediate environment. Your sphere of concern is potentially infinite, everything you could theoretically worry about. The modern internet has made our sphere of concern global while keeping our sphere of control exactly the same size it's always been, tiny. And we're trying to fill an infinite sphere with a finite bucket. No wonder we're exhausted. So what do? Here's what doesn't work: trying to care less. That's not the answer. Apathy isn't the antidote to overwhelm. Checking out isn't the same as healing. What works is radically shrinking your sphere of concern until it's roughly the same size as your sphere of control. That sounds simple. It's not. It means looking at your daily information diet and asking, does knowing this help me live better, or does it just help me feel worse? It means being brutally honest about the difference between staying informed and staying anxious. It means admitting that you cannot carry the weight of global suffering while simultaneously neglecting the suffering in your own life, in your own relationships, in your own soul. It means accepting that choosing where to place your attention isn't selfish, it's survival. Because here's what I've noticed: the people who are actually making a difference in the world aren't the ones who know about everything. They're the ones who picked something specific and put their hands on it. They chose a problem they could touch, a community they could serve, a skill they could build. They stopped performing awareness and started practicing agency. There's a question I started asking myself that changed everything. What am I building? Not consuming. Not observing. Not reacting to. Building. What are you creating that wasn't there before? What are you repairing that was broken? What are you nurturing that needs attention? What are you practicing that will make you more capable tomorrow than you are today? Because if the answer is nothing, if you're spending your days as a spectator to other people's lives, other people's problems, other people's accomplishments, then you're not living. You're just watching life happen while yours passes by. And I get it. Building is harder than watching. Creating is harder than consuming. Changing your own life is harder than commenting on someone else's. But here's the brutal truth: the exhaustion you feel from infinite awareness is the same energy you could be spending on finite action. You're tired because you're spending your life force on things that don't give it back. Let's talk about what does give it back. Connection. Real connection. Not the parasocial kind where you feel like you know someone because you've watched their content. The kind where someone knows your middle name and the thing you're afraid to say out loud and calls you on your bullshit while still believing in you. When's the last time you had that? For a lot of us, it's been years. We've let our real relationships atrophy while we build follow accounts and maintain networks and stay connected to people we don't actually know. We've traded intimacy for audience. And we're lonely in ways we can't quite articulate because we're technically never alone. We're always connected, always reachable, always available. But available isn't the same as present. And connected isn't the same as close. There's something that happens when you sit across from another human being, no screens, no performance, no curated version of yourself, and you tell them what's actually happening in your life. The relief is physical. Not because they fix it. They probably can't. But because for one moment, you're not carrying it alone. You're not performing capability or strength or having it togetherness. You're just being honest about the fact that you don't. We've lost this. We've replaced it with comment sections and group chats and carefully worded posts that fish for validation while maintaining plausible deniability. And we wonder why we feel so isolated. Here's my theory: we're not actually addicted to social media. We're addicted to the feeling of mattering. And in the absence of real relationships where we matter deeply to a few people, we settle for mattering superficially to many. We'll take the dopamine hit of likes over the slow-burning warmth of being truly known. We'll take the quick validation of strangers over the difficult intimacy of friends who see us completely. We'll take being followed over being loved. And then we'll wonder why none of it fills the hole. So here's the uncomfortable assignment: stop. Just for one day, stop consuming. Stop scrolling. Stop checking. Stop refreshing. And notice what comes up. Is it anxiety? Boredom? Restlessness? The feeling that you're missing something important? Good. Sit with it. That discomfort is information. It's showing you what you've been using the internet to avoid feeling. Maybe it's the fact that you're unhappy in your job but don't know what else to do. Maybe it's that your relationship is dying but you're too scared to either fix it or leave. Maybe it's that you're 35 and still don't know what you want to be when you grow up. Maybe it's that you're lonely. Maybe it's that you're lost. Whatever it is, you can't fix what you won't feel. And you can't feel what you keep covering up with other people's problems. This is the part where I'm supposed to give you a framework. 5 steps to digital wellness or 3 habits of focused people or whatever. But that's not what you need. What you need is permission to stop being everything to everyone, including yourself. Permission to not have an opinion. Permission to not stay updated. Permission to let some things unfold without your awareness or input. Permission to choose what you carry and what you leave behind. Permission to build a small, manageable life instead of trying to intellectually inhabit the entire world. Because here's what nobody tells you: the life you're actually living, the one with your breakfast and your commute and your struggles and your small joys, that life is enough. It's enough to pay attention to. It's enough to care about. It's enough to try to make better. You don't need to solve the world. You need to solve Tuesday. You don't need to understand everything. You need to understand the next right step. You don't need to be informed about it all. You need to be intentional about something. Pick one thing, not 10 things. One relationship you're going to actually invest in. One skill you're going to actually build. One problem in your life you're going to actually address. One habit you're going to actually change. Pour your energy there. Not into the discourse. Not into the outrage. Not into the performance of being a good, aware, engaged citizen of the internet. Into the one thing you can actually touch. And then watch what happens. I'll tell you what happens. It's slow. Painfully slow. There are no virality curves with real life. No exponential growth. No overnight transformations. Just small, incremental, almost imperceptible progress. The kind that doesn't photograph well. The kind that doesn't get engagement. The kind that nobody celebrates except you and the people who actually know you. But it compounds. And 6 months from now, when everyone's moved on to the next crisis, the next scandal, the next thing we're all supposed to care about, you'll have actually changed something real. You'll be stronger, more skilled, more connected, more yourself. Not because you knew everything, but because you chose something. The exhaustion you feel isn't from living too hard. It's from living too diffusely. You're spread so thin across so many concerns that you're nowhere thick enough to make a difference. So contract, pull in, get small and specific and focused. Let the world be big without you. Let the discourse happen without your input. Let the drama unfold without your witness. And use that recovered energy, that bucket that's no longer draining out through 1,000 holes, use it on your actual life. The one you can touch. The one you can change. The one you're in danger of missing while you're busy being informed about everything else. This is where it gets real. Most of your problems have solutions. They're just not algorithmic solutions. They're not life hacks or productivity tips or mindset shifts. They're decisions you're avoiding making, conversations you're avoiding having, truths you're avoiding acknowledging. And you're using the internet, this infinite scroll of other people's everything, as a really sophisticated avoidance mechanism. I know because I did it too. I spent years consuming content about how to live better while my actual life got worse. I knew all the frameworks, could recite the advice, understood the principles, but I wasn't applying them. I was collecting them. Like knowing about something is the same as doing it. It's not. And at some point you have to stop researching the perfect approach and just start with the messy one you've got. You have to stop preparing to change and just change. Even if it's imperfect. Even if it's small. Even if nobody sees it or celebrates it or gives you credit for it. Especially then. Because the life you want, the one where you're not exhausted, where you feel capable and connected and purposeful, it's not on the other side of more information. It's on the other side of more action. Specific, targeted, unsexy action in your actual circumstances. And I know that's not inspiring. I know that doesn't make for a good poster or a viral quote. But it's true. The path forward isn't about consuming better content. It's about creating better context. For your life. For your attention. For your energy. It's about building a container strong enough to hold what actually matters and saying no to everything else. Even when it feels important. Even when everyone else is talking about it. Even when you feel the pull to stay informed, stay engaged, stay in the loop. Especially then. Because that pull, that feeling that you need to know, need to care, need to have an opinion, that's not wisdom. That's not consciousness. That's the algorithm talking. That's the anxiety talking. And it will take everything you give it and ask for more. So stop giving it your mornings, your evenings, your attention, your peace. Stop feeding the wolf of infinite concern. And start feeding the wolf of finite control. Feed the relationships. Feed the skills. Feed the health. Feed the growth. Feed the one wild and precious life you actually have instead of the 1,000 digital ones you're trying to track. And here's what I promise you, the world will keep turning without your constant monitoring. The discourse will continue without your contribution. The problems will persist whether you're aware of them or not. But your life, your actual, tangible, right in front of you life, that will only get better if you're present for it. So be present. Be ruthlessly, unapologetically present. Not for everything. For something. For the right thing. For your thing. That's how you stop being exhausted. Not by resting more, though rest helps, but by spending your energy on things that give it back, and letting go of everything else.